The fluorescent lights hummed overhead with that particular frequency that makes your teeth ache. Or maybe that was just fear. Hard to tell the difference when you are 72 years old and sitting across from a FBI agent in a windowless room that smells like industrial cleaner and old coffee. Agent Sarah Chen slid a photograph across the metal table. A woman's face stared back at me. Gray hair cut in a neat bob, kind eyes, professional smile. The sort of person you would trust to watch your purse while you used the restroom. "Do you recognize her, Mrs. Sullivan?" I looked at the photo. My hands were shaking. Not from age, not from medication. From the memory of those same kind eyes going flat and cold when she realized I knew what she was planning to do to me. "Yes," I whispered. "That is Patricia Morrison. And did you know when you boarded that cruise ship in Miami that she was planning to kill you?" I looked up at Agent Chen. She was younger than my son. 35, maybe 40. Sharp eyes that missed nothing. The kind of student I would have loved in my advanced placement English classes back when I was still teaching. The ones who actually read between the lines instead of just skimming for plot points. "No," I said. My voice sounded small in that gray room, small and old and tired. But I should have known. I should have trusted my instincts. Agent Chen leaned forward. "Tell me about those instincts, Mrs. Sullivan. Tell me about the voice in your head that tried to warn you." "My name is Margaret Rose Sullivan. I am 72 years old. I taught high school English for 45 years in Portland, Maine. I have read every major work of literature you can think of. Shakespeare, Austen, Morrison, Atwood. I can spot foreshadowing in the first chapter of a novel. I can identify an unreliable narrator by page 10. I spent decades teaching teenagers how to recognize villains in fiction. Iago, Lady Macbeth, Claudius. The ones who smile at you while they sharpen the knife. But I could not recognize the monsters in my own family. Or maybe I could. Maybe I always could. Maybe I just could not accept what that voice in my head kept trying to tell me. Because some truths are too terrible to believe, even when believing them might save your life. This is the story of how my daughter-in-law convinced me to take a Mediterranean cruise, how I discovered someone had been hired to kill me on that ship, and how I fought to survive 14 days in international waters with a professional assassin who smiled at me over breakfast while planning to make my death look like a heart attack. This is the story of how I almost died because I spent 57 years ignoring my own instincts about the people I loved. And this is the story of how I finally learned to trust that voice in my head, even when it told me something I did not want to hear. "Walk me through the timeline," Agent Chen said. She had a notepad in front of her, but she was not writing anything down, just watching me with those sharp, assessing eyes. "From the beginning, from when you received the gift." Gift. Such a gentle word for what it actually was. I closed my eyes. The fluorescent lights made patterns on the inside of my eyelids, red and yellow and pulsing, like a warning I had ignored. "It was 3 months ago," I said. "Late January. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday." "What kind of envelope?" "Cream-colored, expensive paper stock, the kind my daughter-in-law Jennifer always insists on for anything bearing the family name." Agent Chen made a note. "Jennifer Sullivan, your son Michael's wife." "Yes." The name tasted bitter in my mouth. "She called me right after I opened it." "What did the envelope contain?" I opened my eyes. The room swam back into focus. Gray walls, metal table, that photograph of Patricia Morrison still lying between us like evidence of my own stupidity. "A brochure," I said. "For a Mediterranean cruise, 14 days, Italy, Greece, Croatia. The kind of trip my husband Harold and I always talked about taking after he retired." "But your husband passed away." 42 years ago. The words came out flat, automatic. "Heart attack, very sudden. Michael was 15. Agent Chen tilted her head slightly. "How did Michael react to his father's death?" That voice in my head whispered, Tell her the truth. Tell her about the funeral. Tell her about those flat, empty eyes. He was devastated, I heard myself say. The lie was old, comfortable, worn smooth from decades of repetition. We both were. Agent Chen watched me for a long moment. Then she tapped the notepad with her pen. Tell me about the phone call, the one from Jennifer. The phone rang 30 seconds after I opened the envelope, like she had been watching, waiting. Surprise, Mom. Jennifer's voice came through with that particular brightness that always made something in my chest tighten. Not quite genuine. Not quite false. Somewhere in the uncanny valley between the two. I had taught enough teenagers to recognize manufactured enthusiasm when I heard it. Jennifer, I said, looking down at the glossy brochure spread across my kitchen table. Turquoise waters, white sand beaches, elderly couples holding hands on sun-drenched decks. This is very generous, but… No buts! She laughed, high, brittle. Michael and I wanted to do something special for your 72nd birthday. You deserve it after all those years in the classroom. You deserve it. The words hung in the air like a threat disguised as kindness. This must cost a fortune, I said. My hands were already trembling. That voice in my head was already whispering. But what was it trying to say? What was I supposed to be seeing? Do not even think about it. Jennifer's tone shifted, became firm. The voice she used when explaining things to people she considered less intelligent than herself. Michael got his year-end bonus. We both agreed this was the perfect way to celebrate your birthday. You have spent your whole life taking care of other people, taking care of Michael, taking care of your students. Let us take care of you for once. Let us take care of you. I stared at the brochure, at those impossibly blue waters, at those smiling elderly travelers who looked so safe and happy and completely unaware that the ocean could swallow them without a trace. I do not know, I said. My voice sounded weak even to my own ears. 14 days is a long time. And traveling alone at my age. You will not be alone, Jennifer interrupted. The cruise line has this wonderful program for solo travelers. They assign you a companion, someone to check on you, make sure you are comfortable, help with dinner reservations, that kind of thing. It is very exclusive, very safe. A companion, someone to check on me. My stomach twisted. That voice in my head screamed, "No, do not go. Something is wrong." But what could I say? What reason could I give? That I had a bad feeling? That after 45 years of teaching literature, I had developed an instinct for danger that currently made my skin crawl. What kind of person rejects such a generous gift because of a feeling? That is very thoughtful, I heard myself say. Thank you, Jennifer. Please thank Michael for me as well. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table for a long time. The February sun streamed through the window. The same window I had looked through for 50 years. The same kitchen where I had raised my son. The same house where Harold had died. Where Harold had collapsed, clutching his chest while 15-year-old Michael stood in the doorway and watched with eyes that looked through his father rather than at him. I had told myself then that it was shock. Teenagers process grief differently. He loved his father. Of course he did. The same way I told myself now that this cruise was a gift, a kind gesture. My son and his wife wanting to do something nice for me. Of course it was. That voice in my head whispered, "Liar." "You suspected something even then," Agent Chen said. It was not a question. I looked down at my hands. 72 years old. Liver spots and prominent veins and that slight tremor that had started the day I got off that ship. The tremor that had nothing to do with any medical condition and everything to do with realizing how close I had come to never coming home. I spent 45 years teaching teenagers to analyze literature, I said quietly. Othello, Macbeth, Hamlet. I could spot manipulation and betrayal in every play we read. I taught my students that the scariest villains are the ones who can look you in the eye and feel nothing while they destroy you. But you could not see it in your own family. No, my voice cracked. I saw it. I just could not accept it. Agent Chen leaned back in her chair. Tell me about the week before you left. Did anything else happen? Any other warning signs? Michael came by the house on a Wednesday afternoon, alone, which was unusual. Jennifer typically orchestrated all family interactions with the precision of a theater director managing a difficult production. Hey, Mom. He kissed my cheek. His lips were cool, dry. They had always been cool, even when he was a child. I used to tell myself it was just his circulation, that some people run colder than others, that it did not mean anything. I was not expecting you, I said, putting water on for tea. Old habits. 45 years of hosting parent-teacher conferences had made hospitality automatic. Is everything all right? Everything is fine. He sat at the kitchen table, in Harold's old spot, looking around with those assessing eyes that always made me feel like he was calculating the value of everything in the room. Just wanted to check in before your trip. Make sure you have everything you need. He was wearing expensive clothes, tailored suit, designer watch, the markers of a man who made $430,000 a year in commercial real estate and still somehow always needed more. I think I am all set, I said. Jennifer sent me a very detailed packing list. Of course she did. Something flickered across his face, too fast to identify. She is very thorough. It is one of the things I love about her. The water started to boil. I poured it over tea bags in 2 mugs, Earl Grey, Michael's favorite when he was young. I did not know if it was still his favorite. We had not had tea together in probably 10 years. This house is getting too big for you, Mom. I set his mug in front of him. I have lived here for 50 years, Michael. Exactly. He wrapped his hands around the mug, but did not drink. You are 72. These stairs, all this maintenance, the property taxes. Have you thought about downsizing? Moving into a nice senior living community? Something more manageable? There it was. That calculation, that assessment, the reason for this unexpected visit. My house, my assets, my continued existence as an obstacle to inheritance. I am managing fine, I said. Are you? He looked at me, really looked at me, like he was trying to see through my skin to count my remaining heartbeats. Because I worry about you, especially with you traveling alone. 14 days on a cruise ship, at your age, anything could happen. That voice in my head screamed. The cruise line has that companion program, I said. My voice sounded thin. Jennifer told me about it, someone to check on me. Right. The companion. Michael smiled. It did not reach his eyes. It never reached his eyes. That is good. That is smart. I am glad they take care of their elderly passengers. Elderly. He said it the way you would say terminal, or expendable, or overdue. I should probably get going, Michael said, standing up. He had not touched his tea. Jennifer will be wondering where I am. I just wanted to make sure you were all set for the trip. After he left, I stood at the kitchen window and watched his black BMW pull away. It was the same window where I had stood 42 years ago, watching the ambulance take Harold's body away. The same window where I had stood every day of Michael's childhood, watching him get on the school bus, waiting for him to turn around and wave. He never turned around, not once in 18 years. I should have canceled the trip right then. I should have called Jennifer and told her thank you, but no thank you. I should have trusted that voice in my head that was screaming at me to run. But the thing about denial is that it is so much more comfortable than truth, even when the truth might save your life. Agent Chen was watching me carefully. You are being too hard on yourself, Mrs. Sullivan. I looked at her, really looked at her. She had kind eyes, Young eyes. Eyes that probably still believed that mothers know their children. That family means safety. That love protects you from evil. Am I? I asked. I am a trained educator, Agent Chen. I spent decades identifying troubled students, depression, abuse, manipulation, warning signs. And I ignored every single red flag in my own son because accepting the truth would have destroyed me. The truth almost destroyed you anyway. Yes. I felt something hot behind my eyes. Not tears. I had moved past tears somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But at least I survived to be destroyed. Agent Chen's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and something shifted in her expression. Tension. Alertness. The look of someone who has just discovered that the case they thought was closed is actually still wide open. Mrs. Sullivan, she said slowly, I need you to tell me about the cruise, every detail, starting from when you arrived in Miami, because we have just received some new information about your daughter-in-law's confession. My stomach dropped. What kind of information? The kind that suggests she is lying about who planned this. Agent Chen leaned forward. The kind that suggests she is protecting someone. I stared at her. My mouth went dry. That voice in my head whispered, You already know who she is protecting. You have always known. Tell me about Miami, Agent Chen said. Tell me about boarding that ship. Miami in late April feels like someone left the oven on and forgot to turn it off. The kind of heat that makes the air shimmer and your clothes stick to your skin before you have even left the hotel lobby. I stood on the curb outside the Hilton with my single rolling suitcase and my purse clutched too tightly in my hands. My flight had landed at 6 in the morning. I had not slept on the plane. Had barely slept in the 3 weeks since that conversation with Michael in my kitchen. The port of Miami looked like a small city made of steel and glass. 6 different cruise ships lined up like patient whales waiting to swallow thousands of people into their bellies. The ship I would be boarding, the Mediterranean Dream, rose 10 stories high, white and gleaming and massive, a floating city, a floating prison. Mom! I turned. Jennifer waved from beside their black BMW, designer sunglasses, white linen dress that probably cost more than my monthly retirement check, hair blown out into perfect waves that defied the humidity through what I assumed was expensive salon products and sheer force of will. Michael emerged from the driver's side. Khaki pants, polo shirt, the uniform of successful men who play golf on weekends and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and still somehow always need more. You look exhausted, Jennifer said, air kissing my cheek. Her perfume was overwhelming, something floral and expensive that made my sinuses ache. Did you sleep on the plane? Not really, I said. Well, you will have plenty of time to rest on the ship. She smiled, bright, white, perfectly manufactured. 14 days of luxury. No responsibilities, no stress, just you and the ocean. Just me and the ocean, and whoever this companion person was. This stranger who would be checking on me, making sure I was comfortable, watching me. Let us get you checked in, Michael said. He took my suitcase. His hand touched my elbow. Firm. Guiding. The way you would guide someone who could not be trusted to navigate on their own. It is a maze in there. You will need help. The terminal was chaos. Thousands of people snaking through cordoned lines, digital signs flashing boarding times and deck assignments, the smell of sunscreen and coffee and too many bodies in too small a space. Cruise staff in matching uniforms smiled mechanical smiles and directed traffic with practiced efficiency. Jennifer handed me a thick envelope. Your boarding pass and all your documents. Everything is arranged. Your cabin is on deck 9, starboard side. The companion services coordinator will meet you on board to introduce you to your assigned companion. My assigned companion. I took the envelope. My hands were shaking. Jennifer noticed. Of course she noticed. Jennifer noticed everything. Nervous about traveling alone? A little. Do not be. She reached out and squeezed my hand. Her fingers were cold, despite the Miami heat. You are going to have an amazing time, Margaret. This is your adventure. Your chance to finally do something just for yourself. Do something just for myself. Like die quietly in international waters where my body would not be found for days. Stop it, I told myself. Stop thinking like this. They are being generous. They are being kind. Your daughter-in-law planned a beautiful trip. Your son drove all the way to Miami to see you off. This is love. This is family. That voice in my head whispered, this is goodbye. Michael hugged me, brief, performative. His arms around me felt like a rehearsal for a funeral. Have fun, Mom. You deserve this. You deserve this. There was that phrase again. I watched them walk back toward the parking garage. Jennifer's hand was on Michael's arm. She leaned into him and said something I could not hear. They both laughed. I thought about running after them, telling them I had changed my mind, that I was not feeling well, that 72 was too old for Mediterranean adventures alone, that I would rather stay home in my too big house with my too expensive property taxes and my memories of Harold. But the line was moving. People were pushing forward. And somehow I was showing my passport to a cheerful attendant who said, "Welcome aboard," like she meant it. And then I was walking up the gangway. Up and up and up. Into the belly of the ship. The last time I would see American soil for 14 days. The last time I would feel truly safe for much longer than that. The cabin was smaller than I had expected. Not tiny. Cruise ships had apparently come a long way since the disasters I had seen on the evening news, but compact, efficient. A queen bed with crisp white linens, a bathroom barely large enough to turn around in, a small desk with a mirror, and a balcony. I walked out onto the balcony and looked down. 10 stories. The water looked very far away, very dark, very deep. I gripped the railing. My knuckles went white. If someone fell from here, would anyone notice? Would anyone hear the splash over the sound of the engines and the wind and the ocean? Stop it, I told myself. Stop this. But that voice in my head would not stop. That voice in my head was screaming now. The ship's horn sounded, 3 long blasts that made my bones vibrate. We were leaving port. I watched Miami shrink, buildings getting smaller, cars on the causeway turning into toys. The port of Miami becoming a model of itself. America disappearing into a haze of humidity and distance. 14 days. I unpacked my suitcase with hands that would not stop shaking, put my clothes in the tiny closet, set my medications on the bathroom counter, placed Harold's photograph on the desk. He smiled at me from the frame. 29 years old, standing in front of our first house, the house where we raised Michael. The house where he died while our son watched with empty eyes. I should not have come, I whispered to the photograph. I should have trusted my instincts. But I had come, I was here, and the ship was already miles from shore. A knock at my door made me jump so hard I nearly knocked the photograph off the desk. Mrs. Sullivan, I am Patricia from the Companion Services program. I stood frozen for a moment, staring at the door. This was it. This was the woman who would be watching me, checking on me, making sure I was comfortable, making sure I died quietly and looked like natural causes. Stop it, I screamed at myself. Stop thinking like this. You do not know anything. You are just being paranoid, old and paranoid and ridiculous. I opened the door. Patricia was probably in her late 50s, trim figure, professional attire, khaki pants and a polo shirt with the cruise line logo, sensible walking shoes, gray hair cut in a neat bob, warm brown eyes. She looked like someone's favorite aunt. The kind who sends birthday cards with $20 bills inside and remembers everyone's favorite cookies. It is so nice to meet you. She extended her hand. Her smile crinkled the corners of her eyes. Genuine. Friendly, completely trustworthy. I will be your companion throughout the cruise, checking in on you, making sure you are comfortable and enjoying yourself. If you need anything at all, you just let me know." Her handshake was firm. Her palm was dry and warm. Everything about her seemed perfectly normal. That was my first mistake, thinking a professional assassin would look like a monster. The main dining room was all floor-to-ceiling windows and glittering chandeliers and tables set with white linen and more silverware than any reasonable person needed for one meal. I was seated at a table for 8, apparently the cruise line's strategy for solo travelers. Built-in social interaction, forced community. The other passengers were mostly couples. Retirees from Ohio celebrating their 40th anniversary. Newlyweds from California who kept touching each other like they were afraid the other person might disappear. A widow from Boston who had been on 16 cruises and had very strong opinions about everything from the thread count of the sheets to the optimal method for packing a suitcase. I smiled and nodded and tried to follow the conversation, but my attention kept drifting, watching the door, wondering if Patricia would appear. She did, right as the server was taking drink orders. She materialized beside my chair like she had been waiting for exactly the right moment to interrupt. "How are you settling in, Margaret? May I call you Margaret?" "Of course." "Wonderful." She pulled out the empty chair next to mine and sat down without asking, without being invited, just inserted herself into my evening like she had every right to be there. "I wanted to check on you. First nights can be so overwhelming. So many people, so much noise. At your age, it is important to pace yourself, not overdo it." "At your age?" The Ohio couple glanced at us. The widow from Boston raised an eyebrow. "I am fine," I said, "just taking it all in." Of course, of course." Patricia's hand touched my arm, light, friendly. Her fingers were cold through the fabric of my blouse. "I noticed on your intake form that you have a history of high blood pressure. Are you keeping up with your medications?" I stared at her. "My intake form?" "Oh, do not worry. It is all completely confidential." She waved her hand dismissively. "The cruise line just provides us with some basic health information so we can better assist our passengers. Nothing invasive, just the essentials." She leaned closer. Her voice dropped to a confidential murmur. "Do you have your blood pressure medication with you? I just want to make sure you did not forget it." "I have it." "Excellent. That is excellent," she smiled. "And do you take anything for motion sickness? The Mediterranean can get quite choppy this time of year, especially for passengers who are not used to sea travel." "I do not usually get seasick." "Well, just in case." She pulled a small white plastic bottle from her purse and set it on the table beside my water glass. "These are wonderful, all natural, ginger root and B-complex vitamins. The cruise line provides them specifically for our passengers over 70. They really do help. Just take one with dinner and one at breakfast, and you will feel so much better." She set the bottle on the table with a soft click. I looked at it. Small, white, innocuous. The label said, "Nature's Best Sea Calm Formula. All natural ingredients. No artificial additives." That voice in my head screamed, "Do not touch it. Do not take it. This is how it happens. This is how they do it." "Thank you," I heard myself say. "That is very thoughtful." Patricia beamed. "That is what I am here for. Now, I will leave you to enjoy your dinner, but I will check on you tomorrow morning. Maybe we can have breakfast together, get to know each other a bit." After she left, I sat staring at that white bottle. The widow from Boston leaned across the table. "That companion program seems very thorough." "Yes," I said. My voice sounded far away. "Very thorough." The server brought my salmon. I pushed it around my plate. I could not taste anything, could not focus on the conversation, could not stop looking at that bottle. All natural. No artificial additives, just ginger and B vitamins. Just something to make an elderly woman's death look like seasickness, like a heart attack, like natural causes. I excused myself before dessert, walked back to my cabin on legs that felt like water, locked the door, put the chain on. I stood on the balcony and looked out at the dark ocean. We were miles from shore now, miles from land, miles from anyone who could help me. That bottle was still in my purse. I should have thrown it away, should have flushed the pills down the toilet, should have gone to the ship's medical center and told them I thought someone was trying to poison me. But what would I say? That my daughter-in-law gave me a cruise and now I was paranoid? That a nice woman had offered me vitamins and I thought it was poison? That I had a feeling? They would think I was confused, elderly, paranoid, exactly the kind of passenger who needed a companion to check on her. I set the bottle on my nightstand. Just in case, I told myself. Just in case my stomach gets upset. Just in case I decided to trust the wrong person. I did not sleep. Every sound was amplified. The hum of the ship's engines, the creak of the walls, footsteps in the hallway. Was someone stopping outside my door? Was someone listening? Waiting? At 6 a.m, I gave up and got dressed. Walked to the buffet on deck 12. The morning sun was just starting to burn off the haze on the horizon. We were somewhere off the coast of Florida, still in American waters, still close enough that if something happened, people would notice. The buffet was already crowded, elderly passengers loading plates with scrambled eggs and bacon and pastries, families with young children, honeymooners. Everyone looked so normal, so happy, so completely unaware that one of us might not make it home. I got coffee and a piece of dry toast, found a table by the window. There you are. Patricia appeared with a plate piled high with fruit and yogurt. She sat down across from me without waiting for an invitation. Again. How did you sleep? Fine, I lied. Good, good. This is your first cruise, is it not? She spooned yogurt into her mouth. How are you finding it so far? It is nice. Just nice? She laughed. Light. Friendly. Oh, Margaret, we are going to have to work on your enthusiasm. This is supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime. We are going to see Italy, Greece, Croatia, ancient ruins and beautiful beaches and… She stopped, tilted her head. Did you take one of those vitamins I gave you? My stomach clenched. Not yet. Oh, you really should. Her voice took on a slightly firmer tone, like a nurse reminding a forgetful patient about their medications. The seas are supposed to get rougher today. Better to take it preventatively, before you start feeling ill. I will take one later. Promise? She reached across the table and patted my hand. Her fingers were cold. I would hate for you to get sick. Seasickness can be so miserable, especially at your age. And once it starts, it is so hard to stop. Once it starts, it is so hard to stop. I stared at her, at those warm brown eyes, at that friendly smile. Was I imagining this? Was I reading menace into kindness because my own paranoia had made me incapable of trust? I promise, I heard myself say. After breakfast, I went back to my cabin, locked the door, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at that white bottle on my nightstand. Take one with dinner and one at breakfast. Make it look natural. Make it look like seasickness. Like an old woman who got sick on her first cruise and had a heart attack. 72 years old. History of high blood pressure. Traveling alone. No one to check on her except a companion who was just trying to help. I opened the bottle, shook one pill into my palm. Small, white, round, no markings. I should have taken it to the ship's pharmacy, should have asked them to analyze it, should have demanded to know what was really in these all-natural vitamins. But that voice in my head that had been screaming since Miami suddenly went quiet, not silent, just waiting, watching, letting me decide if I was going to trust my instincts or if I was going to swallow the pill and hope for the best. I put the pill back in the bottle, put the bottle in my purse, and went back out onto my balcony to watch the ocean and wonder how many people had died in international waters because they were too polite to say no. The ship had a library on deck 4, small, quiet, books lining mahogany shelves that were bolted to the walls to keep them from sliding during rough seas. Leather chairs positioned by windows that overlooked the ocean. I went there after lunch because I could not stand being in my cabin anymore. Could not stand staring at that white bottle on my nightstand. Could not stand waiting for Patricia to knock on my door again with her cold fingers and her warm smile and her insistence that I take my vitamins. An elderly woman sat in one of the chairs by the window, maybe 80 years old, thin, fragile-looking. She was reading a paperback, but her hands were shaking so badly the pages rattled. I sat down in the chair next to hers, opened the book I had brought from my cabin, Pride and Prejudice. I had read it probably 30 times, taught it for decades, could recite whole passages from memory. But I could not focus on the words, because the woman next to me was crying, very quietly, tears running down her face while she stared at the same page without turning it. "Are you all right?" I asked softly. She jumped, looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "I am sorry. I did not mean to disturb anyone." "You are not disturbing me." I set my book down. "Are you feeling ill? Should I call for the ship's doctor?" "No." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "No, doctor. I am fine. Just tired." But she did not look fine. She looked terrified. "My name is Margaret," I said. She hesitated. Then, Eleanor Chen. Chen, the same last name as the FBI agent. Probably a coincidence. Chen was a common name. "Is this your first cruise, Eleanor?" "Yes." Her voice was barely a whisper. "My daughter gave it to me for my 80th birthday. She said it would be good for me, to get out of the house, meet people, have an adventure." Something cold slid down my spine. "Did she book it through the solo traveler program?" I asked. My mouth was dry. "With the companion service?" Eleanor's hands tightened on her book. The pages crumpled under her fingers. "Yes," she whispered. "How did you know?" "I am in that program too." My heart was pounding now, hard enough that I could feel it in my throat. "Do you have a companion checking on you?" "Patricia." Eleanor's voice cracked. "Her name is Patricia. She is very nice, very helpful. She gave me vitamins for seasickness, even though I told her I do not usually get motion sickness. She insists I take them, twice a day, with every meal." The library suddenly felt too small, too hot, the walls pressing in. "Have you been taking them?" I asked. "Yes." Eleanor looked down at her hands, at the book she was destroying. I did not want to be rude. She was so insistent, and after I started taking them, I began feeling strange, dizzy, my heart racing, trouble breathing. I thought maybe I was getting seasick after all, or maybe just anxious. I have never been good with travel. "When did you start taking them?" "Yesterday morning, right after we left port." She looked up at me. Her eyes were filled with something worse than fear, resignation. "Mrs. Sullivan, I do not think those are vitamins." Neither did I. "Have you told anyone?" I asked. "The ship's doctor? Security?" I tried. Her voice dropped even lower. "This morning, I went to the medical center, but Patricia was there, talking to the nurses, laughing with them. And when she saw me, she came over and put her arm around me and told them I was just feeling a bit anxious. First time on a cruise. Normal adjustment period. And they believed her. They smiled at me like I was a confused old woman and told me to rest, to take it easy, to let Patricia take care of me. Let Patricia take care of me. "Eleanor," I said carefully, "where is your daughter now? Did she see you off in Miami?" "No." Eleanor's hands were shaking harder now. "She could not make it. She has a very demanding job, but she arranged everything, booked the cruise, paid for the companion service, made sure I would have someone checking on me since she could not be here, made sure someone was checking on her, making sure she died quietly in international waters. Eleanor, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I leaned forward, kept my voice low. Do not take any more of those vitamins. Do not eat or drink anything Patricia gives you. Tell her you are feeling better, that you do not need them anymore. But she will insist. I know. My mind was racing. Tell her you are allergic. Tell her they are upsetting your stomach. Tell her anything. But do not take them. Eleanor stared at me. You think she is trying to hurt me? It was not a question. Yes, I said. I think someone paid her to hurt you, and I think someone paid her to hurt me too. I did not go to dinner. I stayed in my cabin with the door locked and the chain on. I needed to think. Needed to process what Eleanor had told me. Needed to figure out what to do. 2 elderly women, both on solo cruises, both given the cruises as gifts from family members, both assigned the same companion, both given vitamins that made them feel sick. This was not paranoia. This was systematic. Someone, multiple someones, were paying Patricia Morrison to kill elderly relatives on cruise ships in international waters where the deaths would look like natural causes. Heart attacks, strokes, just old people dying the way old people do. I pulled out my phone. Expensive international data plan that Michael had insisted I get. Just in case you need to reach us, Mom. Just in case something goes wrong. Just in case something goes wrong. I pulled up my email, started typing. 2. Old friend from college Edgemail. Com subject. I need help, David Reeves. We had taught at the same high school for 15 years before he retired and joined the FBI as a consultant. Behavior analysis, criminal psychology. He had told me once over drinks after a particularly difficult parent-teacher conference that I would have made an excellent profiler. You see patterns, he had said. You notice things other people miss. That is a rare gift, Margaret. I hoped he was right. I hoped he would believe me. David, I know this will sound insane. I know you will think I am a paranoid old woman. But I need you to trust me. I am on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. I was given this trip as a gift from my daughter-in-law, Jennifer. I have been assigned a companion through the Solo Traveler program. Her name is Patricia Morrison. She has been giving me vitamins. She says they are for seasickness, but I have not been taking them. And I met another woman on this ship who has the same companion, who is taking the vitamins, who is getting very sick. David, I think Patricia Morrison is killing people. I think families are paying her to murder their elderly relatives on cruise ships where it will look like natural causes. I think my son and his wife paid her to kill me. I know how this sounds, but you taught me to trust my instincts. And every instinct I have is screaming that I am in danger. We are in international waters. We will not be back in United States jurisdiction for another 12 days. I do not know what to do. The ship's medical staff believes Patricia. Security will think I am confused. Please, if something happens to me, investigate this. Look into Patricia Morrison. Look into cruise ship deaths. Look into my son's finances. Please believe me. Margaret, I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Then I sat on my bed and waited for my phone to buzz with a response that might never come. A knock at my door made me jump so hard I dropped the phone. Margaret? Are you in there? Patricia's voice, concerned, friendly, completely innocent. I am fine, I called out. Just resting. You missed dinner. I was worried. A pause. Can I come in? Just for a moment? I want to make sure you are feeling all right. I am fine, just tired. Did you take your vitamin this morning? My stomach clenched. Yes, I took it. Another pause, longer this time. That is good, Patricia said finally. That is very good. Well, I will leave you to rest. But if you need anything at all, you just call the front desk and ask for me, all right? All right. I listened to her footsteps retreat down the hallway, waited until I could not hear them anymore. Then I got up and checked the door. Lock engaged, chain on, balcony door locked. My phone buzzed. I grabbed it so fast I nearly dropped it again. From old friend from college Ajmail. Come, Margaret, I believe you. Stay in your cabin. Lock your door. Do not eat or drink anything Patricia gives you. I am making calls. The FBI has jurisdiction over American cruise ships, even in international waters. We can investigate. But we cannot board the ship until it docks. When do you return to Miami? Stay alive until then. David. When do you return to Miami? I pulled out my cruise itinerary. Counted the days. 12 more days. 12 days of avoiding Patricia, of pretending I was taking vitamins that I was actually flushing down the toilet, of watching Eleanor get sicker and sicker because she was too polite to refuse. 12 days of being trapped on a floating prison with a woman who smiled at me while planning my murder. I looked at my phone again. Started typing. We dock in Miami on May 10th. 12 days from now. There is another passenger. Eleanor Chen, 80 years old. Same companion. Same vitamins. She is very sick. Can you help her? The response came quickly. Working on it. In the meantime, find her. Warn her if you can. And Margaret? Be careful. If Patricia realizes you know, she will not wait 12 days. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I forwarded the entire email chain to my personal email, to Michael's email, to 3 other addresses just in case. If something happened to me, at least someone would know why. At least someone would know the truth. I found Eleanor at breakfast. She was sitting alone at a table by the window, pushing scrambled eggs around her plate without eating them. Her skin had a gray tinge. Her hands shook so badly she could barely hold her fork. Eleanor, I said quietly, we need to talk. She looked up at me with hollow eyes. I feel terrible. I know. That is why we need to talk. I glanced around. No sign of Patricia. Not here. Meet me in the library in 10 minutes. I did not wait for her to agree. Just turned and walked away before anyone could see us together. The library was empty. I sat in the same chair as yesterday and waited. Eleanor appeared 5 minutes later. She moved slowly, like every step hurt. Like her bones were made of glass that might shatter. Sit down, I said. Before you fall down. She collapsed into the chair next to mine. What is happening to me? Patricia is poisoning you. I kept my voice low, calm. The same voice I used with students who were having panic attacks during exams. The vitamins are not vitamins. They are something else. Something that is making you sick, making it look like you are having a heart attack. Eleanor stared at me. Why would she do that? Because your daughter paid her to. The words hung in the air between us, heavy, terrible, true. No. Eleanor shook her head. No, my daughter would not. She loves me. She gave me this cruise. She wanted me to be happy. Did she? I asked gently. Or did she want you to die quietly where it would look like natural causes? You are wrong. But Eleanor's voice cracked. You have to be wrong. I wish I was. I pulled out my phone, showed her the email from David. But I am not. And we have 12 more days before this ship docks in Miami. 12 more days of pretending everything is fine while Patricia watches us and waits for us to die. Eleanor read the email. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the phone. What do we do? She whispered. We survive. I took the phone back. You stop taking the vitamins. Tell Patricia you are allergic. Tell her they upset your stomach. Tell her anything. But do not take them. She will know something is wrong. Probably. I looked out the window. at the endless expanse of blue water, at the horizon where there was no land in sight. But what choice do we have? Eleanor was quiet for a long time. "My daughter needs the money," she said finally. "I overheard her on the phone a few months ago, talking to her husband. They have debts, gambling debts, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I have life insurance, $2 million. My husband made sure I was taken care of. $2 million. Enough to pay off gambling debts. Enough to make murder seem reasonable." "I am so sorry," I said. "I have been pretending I did not know." Eleanor's voice was flat, dead. Pretending I did not hear that conversation. Pretending she loved me. Because what else could I do? What kind of mother accepts that her own daughter wants her dead? I understood. God help me, I understood completely. "We are going to survive this," I said. "Both of us. And when we get back to Miami, we are going to make sure our daughters face consequences." Eleanor looked at me. "What about your son? You said you think he paid Patricia too." I had not told her about Michael, but she had heard me say it anyway. "Yes," I said. "My son and his wife. They both wanted me dead. I am sorry. So am I." We sat there in the library for a long time. Two old women who had spent decades loving people who were planning their funerals. Outside, the ocean stretched on forever. Inside, 12 more days felt like an eternity. Patricia was everywhere. At breakfast, at lunch, by the pool, in the hallway outside my cabin. Always smiling, always friendly, always asking if I had taken my vitamins. I lied. "Yes, I took them this morning." "Wonderful. How are you feeling?" "A little tired, but fine." "Good, good. Make sure you take another one with dinner." I smiled, nodded, watched her walk away. Then I went back to my cabin and flushed the pills down the toilet one by one. Eleanor was doing the same thing. We had developed a system, met in the library every morning, compared notes, made sure we were both still alive. "She is getting suspicious," Eleanor said on day 4. "She keeps asking why I am not getting sicker, why I am eating more, why I have more energy. Tell her the vitamins are working." I tried that. She looked at me strangely, like she knew I was lying. "Then we need to be more careful." But how careful could we be when we were trapped on a ship with someone who was paid to kill us? I got an email from David. "Margaret, FBI is coordinating with Miami police for when the ship docks. We will have agents at the port. We will arrest Patricia Morrison immediately. But we need more evidence. We need proof that she is poisoning passengers. Can you get me a sample of those vitamins?" And Margaret, I looked into Patricia Morrison. She does not exist. No social security number, no tax records, no employment history. Whoever she is, Patricia Morrison is not her real name, which means this is bigger than we thought. I stared at that message for a long time. Patricia Morrison was not real. She was a ghost, a professional, someone who killed for money and disappeared. How many people had she killed? How many elderly passengers had died of natural causes on cruise ships over the years? I looked at the white bottle on my nightstand. I needed to get David a sample. But if Patricia realized I had not been taking them, I could not sleep. Every sound made me jump. The hum of the engines, the creak of the walls, footsteps in the hallway. Were those footsteps stopping outside my door? I sat up in bed, stared at the crack of light under the door. A shadow passed across the light. Someone was standing outside my room. I held my breath. Did not move. Did not make a sound. The door handle rattled. Someone was trying to get in. My heart hammered against my ribs. I looked around wildly for something to use as a weapon. The lamp, the desk chair, anything. The door handle rattled again, then stopped. Footsteps retreated down the hallway. I waited 5 minutes, 10, 15. Then I got up and checked the lock. Still engaged, chain still on. But someone had tried to get in. Patricia. She knew. She knew I had not been taking the vitamins, and she was done waiting for me to die quietly. "We need to leave," Eleanor said. We were in the library again, both of us exhausted, both of us terrified. "Leave?" I asked. "How?" "We are in the middle of the ocean. The next port, tomorrow. We dock in Nassau for the day. We could get off the ship, go to the police, tell them what is happening." I shook my head. "And say what? That a nice woman gave us vitamins and we think she is trying to kill us?" "We have no proof, Eleanor. No evidence, just a feeling." "Then we get evidence." Her voice was stronger now, determined. "We take the vitamins to a pharmacy, have them analyzed, find out what is really in them." "And if Patricia notices they are missing?" "Then she knows we know." Eleanor looked at me with eyes that had seen too much, lost too much. "But at least we will have proof. At least someone will believe us." She was right. We needed evidence. I pulled the white bottle from my purse. There were probably 15 pills left. Enough for analysis. Enough to prove what Patricia was doing. "Tomorrow," I said. "When we dock in Nassau, we find a pharmacy." "And we do not get back on this ship," Eleanor added. I stared at her. "What? We do not get back on." Her voice was steady. "We stay in Nassau. We go to the police. We call the FBI. We tell them everything. And we let them arrest Patricia when the ship returns to Miami without us." It was risky. It meant abandoning our luggage, our belongings, everything we had brought. But it also meant we would be alive. "Okay," I said. "Tomorrow. We get off this ship and we do not come back." The ship docked at 8 in the morning. Eleanor and I were among the first passengers off the gangway. We did not tell anyone we were leaving, did not pack bags, just walked off with our purses and our passports and the white bottle of pills that might save our lives. Nassau was beautiful. Turquoise water, white sand beaches, colorful buildings with tourists milling around buying souvenirs and taking photos. We found a pharmacy 2 blocks from the port. "We need these analyzed," I told the pharmacist. I set the bottle on the counter. "We need to know what is in them." The pharmacist was young, maybe 30. He looked at us like we were confused elderly tourists who had wandered in asking about travel insurance. "These are just vitamins, ma'am," he said after glancing at the label. "Ginger and B complex. You can buy them at any health store." "Please," Eleanor said. "Please just test them. We think there is something else in them, something dangerous." The pharmacist sighed. "That kind of analysis takes time. And money. If you want a full toxicology report, you are looking at several $100s and at least 3 days." 3 days. The ship would be long gone by then. "Do it," I said. "Whatever it costs. We need to know." I gave him my credit card, my contact information, the name of the ship. "We will call you when the results are ready," he said. Eleanor and I walked out of the pharmacy and stood on the sidewalk in the bright Nassau sunshine. "Now what?" Eleanor asked. "Now we find the police," I said, "and we tell them everything." But when we got to the police station, the officer at the front desk looked at us the same way the pharmacist had, like we were confused old women making up stories. "You think someone on your cruise ship is trying to poison you?" he asked slowly. "Yes." "And you have proof of this?" "We are having the pills analyzed. The results will be ready in 3 days." 3 days. He wrote something in a notebook. "And where is this person now? This Patricia Morrison?" "On the ship." "Which is currently docked in our harbor." "Yes." He closed his notebook. "Ma'am, if you believe someone has committed a crime on an American cruise ship, you need to report it to American authorities. We do not have jurisdiction. But, I am sorry, but this is not our matter. When you return to the United States, contact the FBI. They handle crimes on cruise ships." We left the police station, stood on the sidewalk again. They did not believe us, Eleanor said. No, I agreed. They did not. We walked back toward the port. The ship rose up like a white mountain. Thousands of passengers were wandering around Nassau, shopping, eating, taking photos, completely unaware that two old women were trying to prove they were being hunted. What do we do now? Eleanor asked. I looked at my watch. 2 p.m. The ship would leave at 5. If we did not get back on, we would be stranded in Nassau. No luggage, no clothes, no medications except what we had in our purses. But we would be alive. If we got back on... My phone buzzed. Email from David. Margaret, do not get off the ship in Nassau. I repeat, do not get off the ship. Patricia will know if you do not return. She will disappear. We will never find her, and she will kill someone else. We need you on that ship when it docks in Miami. We need her to think everything is normal until we can arrest her on United States soil. I know this is asking a lot, but we are so close. 4 more days. Can you survive 4 more days? I stared at the message. 4 more days. 4 more days of pretending, of avoiding Patricia, of praying she did not decide to stop waiting. 4 more days of being hunted. I showed the email to Eleanor. She read it, closed her eyes. We have to go back, she said. Yes, I agreed. We have to go back. At 4:30, we walked back up the gangway, back onto the ship, back into the trap. Patricia was waiting at the entrance, smiling, friendly. There you are, she said brightly. I was starting to worry you might have missed the ship. Did you have a nice time in Nassau? Wonderful, I lied. Excellent. Her eyes moved to Eleanor, then back to me. You both look well rested. The fresh air must have done you good. Yes, Eleanor said. Her voice was steady. Very good. Patricia's smile did not waver, but something flickered in her eyes. Something cold, calculating. She knew. She knew we had been to a pharmacy, to the police. She knew we were trying to get away, and she knew we had come back. Well, Patricia said, I am glad you are both safe. Make sure you take your vitamins tonight. Both of you. It is important to maintain the routine. She walked away. Eleanor and I stood there watching her disappear into the crowd of passengers. She knows, Eleanor whispered. Yes, I said. She knows. What do we do? I thought about that white bottle, about the pills we had left with the pharmacist in Nassau, about the FBI agents waiting in Miami, about 4 more days. We survive, I said. Whatever it takes. We survive. Patricia knocked on my door at 7 a.m. Margaret, are you awake? I had not slept, had spent the entire night sitting in the desk chair with the lamp in my hand, ready to fight if she managed to get in. I am awake, I called out. Good, I brought you breakfast. I noticed you did not come to the dining room. I was worried you might be feeling ill. She brought me breakfast. I stared at the door. That is very kind, I said, but I am fine. I just wanted to sleep in. Oh, but I insist. Her voice was pleasant, patient. I have fresh fruit and yogurt, and your vitamins, of course. You did not take them last night, did you? I checked with the dining room staff. They said you did not come to dinner. She was tracking me, monitoring my movements, making sure I took the pills that would kill me. I will come out in a few minutes, I said. Just let me get dressed. I will wait right here. She was not leaving. She was going to stand outside my door until I came out, until I took the pills she had brought me, until she could watch me die. I looked around the cabin, at the balcony door, at the 10-story drop to the ocean below, at the lamp in my hands that would be useless against a woman half my age who killed people for money. 4 more days, David had said, but I was not sure I had 4 more hours. I opened the door. Patricia stood there with a tray, fruit, yogurt, orange juice, and that white bottle of pills. There you are, she smiled, set the tray on my desk. You really should eat something, Margaret. Keep your strength up. Thank you. Of course. She unscrewed the cap on the vitamin bottle, shook 2 pills into her palm, held them out to me. Here, take these now, with the orange juice. I stared at those pills, 2 white circles that would stop my heart. I am not feeling well, I said. My stomach is upset. I should not take them on an empty stomach. That is exactly why you should take them now. Patricia's voice remained pleasant, but something in her eyes had gone flat, dead. They will help settle your stomach. Trust me. Trust me. Those 2 words hung between us. She knew I did not trust her, and she did not care. Take them, Margaret. It was not a request anymore. I looked at those pills, at Patricia's face, at the door behind her that was still open. If I screamed, would anyone hear me? Would anyone come? Or would they just think I was a confused old woman having a medical emergency? Would Patricia tell them I had a heart attack? That she tried to save me? That it was just so tragic? I took the pills from her hand, lifted them to my mouth, and heard a voice from the hallway. Margaret, are you in there? Eleanor. Patricia turned, and I dropped the pills behind the desk. I am here, I called out, just having breakfast. Eleanor appeared in the doorway. She looked terrible, gray, exhausted, but her eyes were sharp. Oh, Patricia, she said. I was looking for you. I need to talk to you about my vitamins. I think I am allergic to them. I have been feeling very strange. Patricia's smile tightened. Strange how? Dizzy, racing heart, trouble breathing. Eleanor met her eyes. I think I should stop taking them. Nonsense. Patricia turned back to me. Did you take yours, Margaret? Yes, I lied. Just swallowed them. She watched me for a long moment, then picked up the orange juice and held it out. Drink this, all of it. You need to stay hydrated. I took the glass, raised it to my lips, and Eleanor stumbled, grabbed the desk to catch herself, and knocked the white bottle onto the floor. Pills scattered everywhere. Oh, Eleanor said. I'm so sorry. I'm so clumsy. She bent down, started picking up pills. Patricia bent down too, and I poured half the orange juice into the planter on my desk. When they stood up, the bottle was back on the desk, and my glass was nearly empty. There, Patricia said. She was watching me carefully now. You drank it. Yes, I said. Thank you. She smiled. But it did not reach her eyes anymore. I will check on you both later, she said. Make sure you are feeling all right. After she left, Eleanor and I stood there in silence. That was close, Eleanor finally said. Too close, I agreed. I picked up one of the pills from where it had rolled under the bed, held it up to the light. Small, white, round. How many people had taken pills that looked just like this? How many elderly passengers had died quietly in their cabins while Patricia Morrison collected her payment and moved on to the next victim? 3 more days, I said. 3 more days, Eleanor echoed. We just had to stay alive 3 more days. I got an email from the pharmacy in Nassau. Mrs. Sullivan, your test results are ready. The tablets you brought us contain ginger root extract, 30 milligrams, vitamin B complex, standard dosage, digoxin, 5 milligrams. Digoxin is a cardiac medication used to treat heart failure and abnormal heart rhythms. In high doses, it can cause serious cardiac events, including heart attack and death. The amount in these tablets is well above therapeutic dosage. If taken twice daily, as indicated on the label, it would result in fatal digoxin toxicity within 5 to 7 days. We are required by law to report this to local authorities. We have also contacted the cruise line. Please seek medical attention immediately. I forwarded the email to David, to Michael's email address, to Eleanor, to 5 other contacts just in case, Proof. Finally, we had proof. The ship was different now. I could feel it. Some shift in the atmosphere. Like everyone knew something was wrong, but no one wanted to say it out loud. Patricia was still smiling, still friendly, still checking on us. But she was watching us more carefully now, following us more closely. She knew the clock was running out. One more day until Miami. One more day until the FBI could arrest her on United States soil. One more day of survival. That night, I did not sleep. I sat in my chair with the desk lamp in my hands and watched the door, waiting. At 2 a.m, I heard footsteps in the hallway. They stopped outside my door. The handle turned, slowly, carefully, testing. I held my breath. The lock held. The footsteps retreated. But I knew. Tonight might be the last night. If Patricia was going to act, it would be tonight. When everyone was asleep, when no one would hear me scream, I texted David. If something happens to me, Patricia Morrison did it. She tried my door tonight. I think she is going to make a move. The response came immediately. Stay in your cabin. Lock the balcony door. Do not open your door for anyone. We dock in Miami tomorrow at 8 a.m. FBI will be waiting. Just survive tonight. Just survive tonight. I looked at the lamp in my hands, at the locked door, at the 10-story drop from my balcony, and I prayed that morning would come before Patricia Morrison decided to stop waiting. The ship docked exactly on schedule. I stood on my balcony and watched Miami grow larger on the horizon. Buildings, palm trees, land, safety. Eleanor knocked on my door at 7:30. Are you ready? She asked. Yes. We had our purses, our passports, the email from the Nassau pharmacy, 12 days of survival behind us. We just had to walk off this ship. Just had to make it to the gangway where David said FBI agents would be waiting. We joined the stream of passengers heading to the exit. Families with children, couples holding hands, elderly travelers in wheelchairs, everyone chattering about their vacations, about the places they had seen, about going home. I kept my eyes forward. Did not look for Patricia. Did not want to see her one more time. But she found us anyway. Margaret, Eleanor. She appeared beside us, smiling. I wanted to say goodbye. I hope you both had a wonderful cruise. It was memorable, I said. I'm so glad. She looked at us, really looked at us, and for just a moment, that mask slipped. Those warm brown eyes went flat, cold, dead. I hope we meet again someday. Then she turned and disappeared into the crowd. We kept walking, down the hallway, down the stairs, toward the gangway. I could see the terminal now, glass walls, bright lights, people waiting, and men in dark suits. FBI. We stepped off the gangway onto American soil, and everything happened very fast. Agents surrounded us, asking questions, taking our statements, leading us to a private room where David was waiting. Margaret. He hugged me. Thank God you are all right. Did you get her? I asked. Did you arrest Patricia? Yes. His expression was grim. She is in custody, along with someone else. My stomach dropped. Who? Your daughter-in-law, Jennifer Sullivan. She was waiting in the parking garage, in her car, with $50,000 in cash. Jennifer. Of course Jennifer was here, waiting to pay Patricia, waiting to confirm I was dead. Where is Michael? I asked. My voice sounded far away. Did you arrest him too? David hesitated. He is at the FBI office, but Margaret, we have not arrested him. Why not? Because Jennifer is claiming she acted alone. She is confessing to everything. Says Michael had nothing to do with it. That she planned the whole thing without his knowledge. They brought me to the FBI field office in downtown Miami. Gray building, security checkpoints, agents in suits moving through hallways with files and coffee cups. I sat in a conference room with David and Agent Chen. The same Agent Chen I had been talking to for 2 days now. The same Agent Chen who had believed me when no one else would. "Walk me through what happened," she said, when Jennifer was arrested. David pulled up a video on his laptop. Security footage from the parking garage. Jennifer's black BMW, parked in the same spot where she had dropped me off 12 days ago. Jennifer sitting in the driver's seat, checking her phone, waiting. 8:15 a.m. Passengers starting to stream off the ship. Patricia Morrison walking through the parking garage, getting into the passenger seat of Jennifer's car. Jennifer handing her an envelope. Patricia counting the money inside. Then FBI agents surrounding the car, guns drawn, shouting commands. Patricia putting her hands up slowly, calmly, like this was just another inconvenience. Jennifer screaming, crying, hands shaking. They pulled both women out of the car, handcuffed them, read them their rights. And Jennifer started talking immediately. "It was me." Her voice was high, hysterical. "It was all me. Michael did not know anything. I planned it. I hired Patricia. It was my idea." The video ended. I sat there staring at the frozen image of my daughter-in-law being pushed into a FBI vehicle. "She confessed to everything," Agent Chen said. "On the way to the station, during booking, in the interrogation room. She will not stop talking. Will not let her lawyer speak. Just keep saying it was all her idea." "And Michael?" I asked. "He is in another conference room, crying. Says he had no idea what Jennifer was planning, that he is devastated, that he loves you and would never want to hurt you." I closed my eyes. Michael crying. Michael devastated. Michael performing grief the same way he had performed it 42 years ago at his father's funeral. "Do you believe him?" I asked. Agent Chen leaned back in her chair. "Do you?" Did I? That voice in my head whispered, "You know the truth. You have always known." But another voice, the mother voice, the desperate voice whispered, "Maybe Jennifer is telling the truth. Maybe Michael did not know. Maybe your son actually loves you." "I do not know," I said. Agent Chen studied me for a long moment. Then she stood up. "Come with me," she said. "I want to show you something." The room was small, dark. One wall was a mirror, the kind you see in crime shows where people watch interrogations from the other side. Agent Chen gestured to the chairs facing the mirror. "Your daughter-in-law is in that room right now," she said, giving her statement. Again. I sat down. Through the mirror, I could see Jennifer, hair disheveled, makeup smeared, still wearing the white linen dress from this morning. She looked smaller than I remembered, younger, almost fragile. 2 agents sat across from her, taking notes, asking questions. Agent Chen turned on the audio. "Walk us through it again, Mrs. Sullivan," one of the agents was saying. "From the beginning, how did you first contact Patricia Morrison?" "I told you." Jennifer's voice was hoarse, like she had been crying for hours. "I found her online, on the dark web. It took me 3 months to arrange everything. The cruise, the companion service, the timing. Michael did not know anything about it. I swear he did not know." "But you used your husband's credit card to book the cruise." "Yes, but he did not notice. He does not check our accounts that closely. I told him I booked a cruise for his mother as a birthday gift. He thought it was sweet. He had no idea I was planning to—" Her voice broke. He had no idea. "Why did you want your mother-in-law dead, Mrs. Sullivan?" Jennifer was quiet for a long time. "We needed the money," she said finally. "The inheritance. Margaret has $2 million in life insurance, plus the house, her retirement accounts. We have so much debt, my gambling, Michael's investments that went bad. We were drowning, and she is 72 years old. She could live for another 20 years. We could not wait that long." She said it so matter-of-factly, like I was just an obstacle, a problem to be solved, like my death was a reasonable solution to financial difficulty. "And Patricia Morrison?" the agent asked, How much did you pay her? $50,000 up front, another $50,000 when Margaret died. She showed me photos of other clients, other elderly people she had helped families with. Heart attacks, strokes, all natural causes. No one ever suspected anything. Did your husband know you were meeting Patricia Morrison this morning? No. Jennifer looked up, met the agent's eyes. No. He thought I was going to the gym. He does not know I am here. He is probably at home right now wondering where I am, worrying about me. She smiled a little when she said that. Like the idea of Michael worrying about her was comforting. Like she was protecting him. I watched her through that mirror and felt something cold settle in my chest. She was lying. Not about hiring Patricia, not about the money, not about wanting me dead, but about Michael. She was protecting him, and she was doing it very, very badly. Agent Chen turned off the audio. What do you think? She asked. I think she is lying about Michael, I said. So do I. Agent Chen pulled a file from her briefcase. Which is why I have been digging into your son's finances. She spread papers across the table in front of me. Bank statements, credit card records, investment accounts. Your daughter-in-law says they have debt from her gambling and his bad investments, Agent Chen said. But I cannot find evidence of either. No casino transactions, no online gambling accounts. His investment portfolio is actually quite healthy. Returns of 8% annually for the last 5 years. I stared at the papers. So why would Jennifer say they needed money? I asked. Good question. Agent Chen pulled out another document. This is your son's cryptocurrency account. Bitcoin, Ethereum, several other currencies. The account was opened 8 months ago. 8 months ago, 3 months before Jennifer gave me that cruise brochure. How much is in the account? I asked. Currently, about $12,000, but there was a large transaction 8 months ago. A withdrawal of exactly $50,000. My mouth went dry. 50,000, I repeated. The same amount Jennifer paid Patricia up front. Yes. Agent Chen pulled out another paper. And here is the interesting part. The withdrawal was not made by Jennifer. It was made by Michael, using his personal laptop, from his office at work. The room tilted. Michael had withdrawn $50,000 in Bitcoin 8 months ago. Michael had hired Patricia Morrison, not Jennifer. But Jennifer confessed, I said. My voice sounded far away. She said it was her idea. I know. Agent Chen looked at me carefully. Which means either she is lying to protect your son, or your son convinced her that it was her idea. Or both, or something worse. I need to talk to him, I said. I need to hear it from him. Agent Chen nodded slowly. He is in conference room B, waiting for you. He has been asking to see you since we brought him in. Of course he had, because Michael was good at performing, good at playing the concerned son, good at making people believe he felt things he did not actually feel. Take me to him, I said. Michael stood up when I walked in. His eyes were red. His face was blotchy. He looked like he had been crying for hours. Mom. He moved toward me like he was going to hug me. Thank God you are safe. When the FBI called me and told me what Jennifer did, I could not believe it. I had no idea. I swear I had no idea. I stepped back, kept the table between us. Sit down, Michael. Something flickered across his face. Confusion, hurt, the perfect reaction. He sat. I sat across from him. Agent Chen stood by the door, watching, listening. Jennifer confessed, I said. She told the FBI that she hired Patricia Morrison, that she planned everything, that you did not know. I did not know. His voice cracked. Mom, you have to believe me. I would never hurt you. You are my mother. I looked at him, at those eyes that had watched his father die without crying. at those hands that had managed Harold's estate the day after his funeral, at that face that had perfected the mask of emotion without ever feeling anything real. "The FBI found your Bitcoin account," I said quietly. He went very still. "What?" "The account you opened 8 months ago, the $50,000 withdrawal, the same amount Jennifer paid Patricia Morrison." The color drained from his face. "I do not know what you are talking about." "Yes, you do." I leaned forward. "You hired Patricia Morrison, not Jennifer. You planned this. You set everything up, and then you convinced Jennifer it was her idea." "That is insane." But his voice had changed, gone flat, careful. "Jennifer is lying. She is trying to blame me because she got caught. You know how she is, Mom. She has always been manipulative. I am the victim here too." "Are you?" I asked. "Because I have been thinking about something, about that day you came to my house, 2 weeks before I left, when you asked me about downsizing, about moving into a senior living facility. I was worried about you." "No." My voice was steady now, certain. "You were planning, making sure I felt isolated, making sure I felt like a burden. So when Jennifer suggested the cruise, I would feel grateful, feel like maybe they actually cared about me." Michael stared at me, and for just a moment, just one single moment, the mask slipped. His eyes went flat, empty, dead. The same eyes I had seen at Harold's funeral, the same eyes that had looked at me my entire life without ever really seeing me. "You have always been dramatic, Mom," he said. His voice was cold now. No more tears, no more performance. Reading too much into things, making up stories. "It is probably why you ended up teaching high school English instead of doing something actually useful with your life." There it was, the truth, finally. "Michael Sullivan," Agent Chen said from the door. "You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder." Michael's head snapped around. "What? No, you cannot arrest me." Jennifer confessed. She said I did not know anything. Jennifer lied. Agent Chen walked over to the table. "And we can prove it." She set a laptop on the table, opened it, turned it toward Michael. Email messages, dozens of them, from Michael's personal email account to an encrypted email address. "I need someone discreet, someone professional, someone who can make it look like natural causes. My mother is 72, high blood pressure. If she had a heart attack on a cruise ship, no one would question it. How much? I can pay $50,000 now, another $50,000 when it is done. My wife will handle the logistics. She does not know it was my idea. Let her think she is in control. If anything goes wrong, she will take the fall." The emails went on and on, instructions, details, the name of the cruise line, the dates, everything. All from Michael's email, all signed with his name. I read them, every single one, and felt 57 years of denial finally shatter. "You planned everything," I said. My voice was barely a whisper. "You let Jennifer think it was her idea. You knew that if anything went wrong, she would confess, would protect you, because she loves you." Michael did not answer, just stared at the laptop screen with dead eyes. "How long?" I asked. "How long have you been planning to kill me?" He looked up at me then and smiled. "Since Dad died," he said quietly. 42 years. I have been waiting 42 years for you to finally die so I could have what is mine." The air left my lungs. "You killed your father," I whispered. "Digoxin," Michael said. His voice was casual, matter of fact. "Same thing Patricia was going to use on you. It is very effective, very hard to detect, especially if no one is looking for it." Agent Chen was already on her radio, calling for backup, calling for medical examiners to re-examine Harold's death. But I could not hear her. Could only hear Michael's voice. Calm. Flat. Empty. I waited for you to die naturally, he continued. But you just kept living. And living. And living. 72 years old and still healthy. Still in that house. Still holding on to everything that should have been mine decades ago. So, you decided to help things along, I said. Yes. He leaned back in his chair. And it would have worked. Patricia had done this 6 times before. 6 other elderly passengers. 6 perfect heart attacks. No one ever suspected anything. But I did not take the pills. No. His eyes narrowed. You did not. Which means you have always been smarter than you pretended to be. Just like Dad always said. Wasted intelligence on a woman who spent her life teaching children instead of doing anything important. Those words should have hurt, should have cut deep, but they did not. Because I finally understood. Michael was not capable of love. Never had been. Never would be. He was a void, an absence. A creature that looked human but felt nothing. And I had spent 57 years trying to love something that could not love me back. I am done, I said. I stood up. I am done pretending you are my son. Because whatever you are not human. You are something else. Something broken. And I will not spend one more second of my life hoping you will change. Michael just stared at me with those flat, dead eyes. I never loved you, he said. Not once. Not ever. You were just an obstacle, and you should have died on that ship. But I did not. I looked at Agent Chen. I am ready to leave now. She nodded. We need you to make a formal statement. Give testimony. There will be a trial. I know. I looked at Michael one last time. And I will be there. I will tell everyone exactly what you are. And you will spend the rest of your life in prison, thinking about how you failed. I walked out of that conference room, left Michael sitting there with his dead eyes and his empty soul, and I did not look back. The trial lasted 4 weeks. Patricia Morrison pled guilty to 7 counts of first-degree murder, life in prison without possibility of parole. She testified against Michael, told the court about the 6 other elderly passengers she had killed, about the families who had paid her, about the cruise lines that had never suspected anything. Jennifer received a plea deal, 25 years in exchange for her testimony against Michael. She sat on the witness stand and cried, told the jury how Michael had manipulated her, made her think the murder plot was her idea, how he had promised to divorce her and marry someone else if she did not help him. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered that she had handed Patricia Morrison $50,000 in cash, had sat in that parking garage waiting for confirmation of my death, and my sympathy evaporated. Michael went to trial, represented himself, fired 3 different lawyers who tried to convince him to plead guilty. He testified in his own defense, told the jury he was innocent, that Jennifer and Patricia had conspired to frame him, that he loved his mother and would never hurt her. He was very convincing, but the emails were more convincing. So was the Bitcoin transaction. So was the exhumation of Harold's body, the autopsy that found digoxin in tissue samples that had been preserved for 42 years. So was my testimony. I sat on that witness stand and told the jury everything, about the cruise, about Patricia, about the pills, about Eleanor Chen and how we had survived 12 days on that ship, about Michael's visit to my house before I left, about his empty eyes at his father's funeral, about 57 years of ignoring that voice in my head that tried to tell me the truth. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on all counts, 7 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, 1 count of fraud, multiple counts of attempted murder. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without possibility of parole. 7 consecutive life sentences. He will die in prison. and I will never see him again. The judge asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. I said yes. I stood in that courtroom and looked at Michael one last time. I spent 45 years teaching high school English, I said. Teaching my students how to analyze literature, how to recognize character types, how to identify villains. I taught them about Iago, about how he manipulates Othello, about how he destroys lives while smiling and pretending to be a friend. I taught them about Lady Macbeth, about ambition that becomes murder, about guilt that cannot be washed away. I taught them about Claudius, about killing your own family for power and money. I taught them that the scariest monsters are not the obvious ones, not the ones with fangs and claws. The scariest monsters are the ones who look like us, talk like us, smile at us while they plan our destruction. And for 45 years, I lived with one of those monsters, raised him, loved him, tried to convince myself that he was capable of love. But he was not. He is not. He never will be. My son is a void, an absence of humanity, a creature that learned to mimic emotion without ever feeling it. And I spent 57 years telling myself I was wrong, that a mother knows her child, that family means safety, that love protects you from evil. But it does not. Love blinds you, makes you ignore the truth even when it is screaming at you. That voice in your head that warns you something is wrong, that instinct that tells you to be careful, that feeling that makes your skin crawl, that is not paranoia. That is wisdom. That is your mind recognizing patterns your heart does not want to see. I ignored that voice for 57 years, and it almost killed me. So I stand here today to say this. Trust your instincts. Trust that voice. Even when it tells you something you do not want to hear. Even when it warns you about someone you love. Because some truths are terrible, but ignoring them is worse. I sat down. Michael stared at me with those flat, dead eyes. And I stared back. Without fear, without hope, without love. Just acknowledgement. That he existed. That he was empty. And that I was finally free. 1 year later, I moved out of Portland. Could not stay in that house anymore. Too many memories. Too many years of denial. I found a small apartment in a coastal town in Massachusetts, near the ocean, far from everything that reminded me of Michael. Eleanor Chen and I stayed in touch, had coffee once a month, compared notes on therapy, on healing, on learning to trust people again. Her daughter was in prison too. 20 years for conspiracy to commit murder. We were both motherless now, both daughterless, both learning to live with the absence. The FBI asked me to speak at their academy in Quantico, to talk to new recruits about recognizing sociopaths, about trusting instincts, about the difference between paranoia and pattern recognition. I said yes. I stood in front of a room full of young agents and told them about Michael, about Patricia Morrison, about cruise ships and digoxin and 12 days of survival, about that voice in your head that tries to save your life if you will just listen to it. I spent 45 years teaching literature, I told them. And one of the things I taught my students was this. Pay attention to the small details, the things that do not quite fit, the moments when someone's words do not match their actions. In literature, we call it foreshadowing. In real life, we call it a warning sign. Michael never cried at his father's funeral, but I told myself it was shock. Grief manifests differently in everyone. Michael managed his father's estate the day after he died, but I told myself he was just being responsible, just trying to help. Michael always had cold hands, cold lips, cold eyes, but I told myself some people just run cold. I spent 57 years explaining away the warning signs, making excuses, telling myself I was imagining things. Because accepting the truth would have destroyed me. But the truth almost killed me anyway. So here is what I learned. That voice in your head? That instinct? That feeling that something is wrong even when you cannot explain why? Listen to it. That is not paranoia. That is pattern recognition. That is your subconscious mind processing information your conscious mind does not want to see. That is wisdom. And ignoring it does not protect you. It just makes you vulnerable. After the presentation, a young agent came up to me. "My mother keeps telling me I am too suspicious," she said. "Too paranoid. That not everyone is dangerous." "Your mother is wrong," I said gently. "Not everyone is dangerous, but some people are. And the ability to tell the difference is what keeps you alive." She smiled. "Thank you. I needed to hear that." I thought about all the students I had taught over 45 years. All the teenagers who had sat in my classroom learning about Othello and Macbeth and Hamlet. I hoped I had taught them to trust their instincts, to listen to that voice, to recognize the monsters who smile at you while they sharpen their knives, because that is the most important lesson anyone can learn. Not from literature, but from life. I am 73 years old now. I live alone in my apartment by the ocean. I read books. I take walks. I have coffee with Eleanor once a month. I do not have a son anymore. I made my peace with that. Some losses are not tragedies. Some absences are relief. People ask me how I survived, how I knew not to take those pills, how I managed to stay alive for 12 days on a ship with a professional assassin. And I tell them the truth. I listened to that voice in my head that had been whispering warnings for 57 years. That voice that told me Michael was not capable of love. That voice that told me something was wrong with that cruise. That voice that told me not to trust Patricia Morrison. I finally listened, and it saved my life. So if you take nothing else from my story, take this. You have wisdom inside you, accumulated from years of experience, patterns your mind has recognized, instincts that evolution has honed over millennia. That feeling that something is wrong, that is not anxiety. That is awareness. That voice in your head that warns you, that is not paranoia. That is protection. Trust it. Even when everyone else tells you that you are imagining things, even when the people you love tell you that you are overreacting, even when you desperately want to believe that you are wrong. Trust it. Because some truths are terrible, but ignoring them is worse, and surviving them, that is everything. If you have ever ignored that voice in your head, that instinct that told you something was wrong about someone, you are not alone. If you have ever made excuses for someone's behavior because accepting the truth would have been too painful, you are not alone. If you have ever survived something terrible because you finally started listening to your own wisdom, you are not alone. Share your story below. Tell us about the moment you started trusting your instincts, about the time that voice in your head saved your life. Because real recognize real, and your experience might save someone else the pain. Your wisdom matters. Your story matters. You matter, and I am so grateful you are here to tell it.